You good? Yeah. We're going live right now. Okay, let's call the order of the Board of Library Trustees for Tuesday, December 20th. On roll call, please.
Trustee Burrell.
No, 22.
What did they say?
21.
It's on the agenda, the
Oh,
21.
let's say 21. Okay. Wow. Okay, thank you.
I'm still here. Okay. Trustee Gala. Here. Trustee Meadow.
Here.
Trustee Rule is currently not here. Trustee Samara is currently not here. Trustee Sucklet.
Here.
President Six.
Here. Okay, so let's stand and do the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And before we text.
Okay, do we have any public comments?
Elizabeth here, speaking of, I paid my son. They do the money for my baby account on December 6th. When will the Arlington Heights Memorial Library get the money?
I don't know exactly when we'll get it. It's based on Cook County's schedule, probably after the first of the year at some point. Tracy, I don't know if you have any additional information on that.
Yeah, I know the village of Arlington makes levy their taxes for us, so it will have to flow through them first, so I'm still have to sign. But yeah, probably.
Any other public comment? Okay, before we move on, I was wondering if we could have a motion. I'd like to take item 10, the One Book, One Village wrap up, and move it to just after the executive director's report.
I'll move that we move item 10 up to after the director's report for the agenda on today's meeting of December 20th.
The second.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and that passes. Okay, let's go down to liaison reports, sorry. Friends,
Okay, just have a few things from the Friends. They made just over $6,200 at their December holiday sale. They are not taking donations through the holiday, so from December 24th through January 1st, they will not be taking donations. And their next sale is February 4th and 5th. That's what I have from the Friends.
okay, thank you very much. Foundation,
So before I start, I will apologize. I will apologize for double booking myself. It's that time of year. So as soon as I get my report, I will be leaving. I'm sorry because I love hearing about the One Book in the Village. I loved hearing it last year, so I apologize. So what I'm giving you this evening is our annual report. I gave it to our board last week and I want to share that with you. Next week, I will share it with our donors. So as we approach the beginning of our 5th year, we look back at what we were able to accomplish during our 4th year as a foundation. We funded or have committed to fund over $44,000 in both the Maker Place and the renovation for Kids World, to include new counters, storage, and floor tiles for the art area at Maker Place, a commercial blender for chefs and instructors, and 4 Ninja professional blenders for students at Maker Place. A Haskell Maker table, stools, and $1,000 for supplies for Queens, and a K5 Makerspace cart, and the Everbright display for the renovation in Pittsburgh. I worked on that, John. I told you.
Yes, you did, and I appreciate that.
The Scholarship Task Force has completed its goal of creating a Maker Place Scholarship for the trades. This is now a standing committee with Chairman John Hartnett, our newest director on the board. The Board of Directors has approved 3 Maker Place scholarships for 2023. 2 will be funded from the foundation, and 1, the JPM named scholarship, being funded by an outside source. I'm working on getting those initials to say a name. But for the moment, the family was it was very emotional. And I am working with them to try to have it named because it's confusing for all of us. We get lots of questions. I know the library staff have gotten lots of questions, so we're trying to straighten that out. The scholarship program held its official kickoff at a fundraiser at Maker Place in early November. An evening chefs featured contributions from Scratchboard Kitchen, Cookies, Pissarro, Cocoa and Blue, Hillens, Gemma Foods, Eiffel Flower, Ilona and Company Events, and Beer on the Wall. Our own shop champion, Chef Grace Scratchboard Kitchen, organized the business, and the Foundation's Development Committee organized the operational portion of the event, including swag bags containing gifts made at the Maker Place. We solicited some financial sponsorships from a few trade-oriented businesses as well. The event made just over $20,000, putting the scholarship program in a great place for several years to come. We are working with the Township High School District 214, the Village of Arlington Heights, Chamber of Commerce, Family Forward, Good Neighbors Network, and the Arlington Heights Memorial Library and others to promote scholarship opportunities. We will be hosting the School District 214 counselors and instructors working with students interested in the trade and an informational copy in January at Maker Place. Through the successful scholarship, though the successful scholarship applicants will be notified in May, we look forward to creating an event to celebrate and award the scholarship recipients in July. We're hoping that as we move forward, our named scholarships will become part of our marketing for the future so that we can share with the community who those young people are. The development committee is creating at least 2 other fundraisers that will occur at different times of the year, initially at Maker Place and at different price points. We hope to work with Chef Ryan to create a couple of seasonal batch cooking programs. We are attempting to create a reservation system that allows us to cut off the registration when we reach capacity, if we only have 16 seats at each event, and offer a wait list through our foundation website. Treasurer, finance, investment team, as well as an outside consultant, audited our books, and board members did an annual review of our bylaws and updated where necessary. We are continuing to work at increasing our audience on social media and community awareness through print media by bringing a greater focus on marketing this next year. We provided appreciation packets to the library staff during Library Week, and we gifted note cards designed by Foundation Director Shark Hadavani at the Library In-Service Day, as well as sponsoring the beverages at the reception at the end of the day. We hosted an outdoor socially distant advisory team event where Executive Director Mike Driscoll updated attendees on the current state of the library initiative, and Greg Zick responded to questions from those attending, as well as stating appreciation for our work in support of the library. Our 2022-23 annual appeal was mailed in November, and we are hoping to fund some additional renovations in Kids World. We're looking ahead to 2023 and working with staff early so we can get a better idea of what next year's annual appeal might look forward to support. And with that, we look forward to your 5. Any questions? Yes.
Actually, first of all, awesome. You've done so much in 4
Thank
years.
you.
I can't believe it.
Good team.
Yay. You board members and all that good stuff. Just one little thing that I thought of when you were talking about when you decide the scholars for this year. If you do have students from any of the 214 high schools, I know that like the last week in May, they have an honors assembly. And often it is the athletes and the kids that, you know, have fabulous test scores that get the medals and get their names called. So if we know that by then, it would be really terrific.
We should. That's a really good point.
Yeah, to be at those schools. And usually they get like a medal or a certificate, you know, there's something that they get when their name is called, and they do it. They have a special honors assembly like that their parents are invited to. And then depending on how the school does graduation, they might do something there as well.
So that's a great point. Dr. Laz Lopez was on our task force, and he's agreed to serve on the committee, the scholarship committee. So we'll be getting updates. He's the one that's actually bringing the staff to our January 9th event. All of this, any of the recipients will be 0405
Right. So they,
residents,
right.
but every school 0405 has students in. So, I mean, who knows?
Right.
It could be any of the 6 high schools.
Right.
But-
Which is terrific.
Yeah.
But also, I think that actually the counselors will love this great exposure for the Maker Place because, you know, I don't know, some of them have a little bit of time in the summer and other time that they, you know, it's hard to get there if you haven't been.
Well, and the counselors are crucial to what we're doing
Mhm.
because we have heard many, many times as we're going through our task force that we live in a pretty wealthy community and that most parents don't want most parents assume their kids are gonna go to a four-year institution, and they don't want to hear about trade school. And we have a wonderful in-house story who is supporting this part of the program, the third scholarship piece. They're a family of five whose middle son wasn't cut out to go to a four-year institution, and his love was working with his hands. And just that story, I mean, that's an Arlington Heights family and Arlington Heights residents, four of them went through, and the other one was different, and he wanted something different.
Yeah.
So I think helping parents recognize that just because you think it doesn't mean it's gonna happen, kids really have a mind of their own.
Right.
Like, once you get to this point in your life, you realize that. I didn't realize it when I was younger, but I realize it now.
Awesome work. It's really
More
exciting.
money than the four-year college graduate.
Without the debt.
Without the debt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, we brought in a couple of manufacturers and they quickly told us and showed us graphs of how much money these young people can earn very, very quickly. And be independent and supporting and giving back to the community, which is why we're doing this.
Right.
So anyway, thank you for the opportunity. Any more questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Laura. Thank you for the foundation. Can't believe it's been 5 years or 4 years. It seems like it was just yesterday we were talking about setting this whole thing up and everything. So thanks for everything and, happy holiday to you and the board.
Thank you. All of
Thank you very
you,
much.
happy holiday. Okay, see you all.
We live in the same building.
All right, let's move on to the fun part here. Approval of action item 1, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of November 15th, 2022.
I move that the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for November 15th, 2022 be approved.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes. Go on to action item 2, approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of December 5th, 2022.
I move approval of the committee of the whole, the meeting minutes of the committee of the whole meeting for. I need a little help with the date, December, thank you, December 5th, 2022.
We have a second?
I'll second.
The date's wrong on this.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, do we have a second? John, did you second
I'll
that?
second
The second, yeah? Okay.
with change.
Yes.
Yeah.
As mentioned.
Any more comments, questions?
Yeah,
Yep.
I noticed one other change. I think it was on the kind of the last section. It was actually trustee Gala who asked about Narcan, not me. So credit where credit
Oh,
is
okay,
due.
yeah. Under other. Trustee Gala question that staff are trained on using.
It was me, yes. To the day, that was a good question you asked.
Okay, anything else?
Just because I haven't actually been absent before. When you're absent, I must have come in late, so, but it says absent. Is that what happens? And then okay, got it. Thank you.
It's at roll call.
Got it. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, with those changes, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, that passes. All right, item 3, review of the financial report for the period ended November 30th, 2022.
Okay, we did not receive real estate tax receipts in the month of November. So as a reminder, as Melissa mentioned, the tax bills are out, but we have not actually seen the tax revenue from it. We'll likely see that after the first of the year. Our copier and printer revenue totaled $3,008.30. Our lost item charges totaled $606.84. Interest income was $13,860.16 this month. So that is due to the interest rates rising. Donations totaled $298.33. Other income was $704.08. Revenue collected for vehicle stickers totaled $207, and makerspace miscellaneous revenue was $603.23. So our total revenue collected in November was $19,508.04. On the expense side, we have gone through 92% of our fiscal year. We've expensed 82% of our total operating budget. So our favorable variance to date is $1,555,669. 65% of our total annual capital budget has been expensed as of November. Here's what I have for financial report questions.
Thank you, President Zick. A couple questions with respect to the lack of tax revenue coming in. How is that going to impact our cash flow?
Well, we have enough money in our funds to cover us.
Okay. The second observation is Friends of the Library reimbursements and revenue seem to be behind as well.
They are, so they had a change in their treasurer a couple months ago with their board officers. In doing that, they had an issue getting the new person on the checking account at the bank, and they were issuing new checks and stuff like that. So we haven't seen all of our expected funds yet. I think we're around $16,000 behind with them, but they are working to get us a check. Hopefully soon.
Are we gonna get it before the end of the year?
I don't know, Tracy, have you talked with them anymore?
I haven't
Okay.
gotten an update, but these are as of November.
Yeah.
You got me.
We'll keep buying.
Okay.
Anything else?
Anything else in there? Okay, move on to action item 4, review of the check register of the period ended November 30th, 2022.
Okay, I have a few checks here to review. On page 1, check 84321 to Innovative Interfaces in the amount of $163,574.70. That is our what's called our Sierra subscription for 2023. That is basically our main library software with book catalog and customer catalog database. Also on page 1, check 84370 Size Up Inc. in the amount of $6,325. That is also a prepaid for 2023. That is an electronic subscription that provides libraries with technology and data that helps local businesses. So it's really a business focused database. Again, just kind of talking about prepaids again, those are bills that we pay this year for next year. So they are being shown as a check going out this year, but it'll actually be credited to next year. Then on page 1 and also on page 11, check 84344 to MPLC in the amounts of $389.39 and $321.05. This is a umbrella license for businesses to show films on TV in public communal areas. So this allows us to show movies in public space. Typically, we do pay for 2 licenses per year, one for programs here at the library, and then one for our senior and accessible services department. Then on page 4, check 84379 to TMC Furniture in the amount of $4,677.70. That is for a family workstation for the Kids World project, which will be funded by the Friends. On page 6, check 84268. That is a credit card repayment to Versaire Solutions in the amount of $4,788.60. That is some cubicle panels for our redesigned call center. We're moving our call center upstairs into a new location. And so I'm purchasing some additional new furniture for that. On page 11, check 84362 to Rails in the amount of $2,300. That is 10 months of our Illinois Libraries Presents virtual author events for adults. So that is the consortium of libraries or providing virtual events that we helped to kick off. Then on page 23, check 84310 to Granger in the amount of $1,115.20. That is for 4 LED light fixtures for the Maker Place. Those are exterior parking lot lights. Also on page 23, check 84333 to Liberty Contracting in the amount of $6,580. That's concrete work at the Maker Place. That is the replacement of the walkway portion of the handicap ramp in front of the building. So if you guys remember, that was not in great shape when we acquired the building. We ground it down to get by, but we ended up replacing the walkway portion. That was budgeted for this year. That was budgeted $15,000. That same page, check 84361 to RIC Electric in the amount of $2,427.10. That is for electrical work for a new door operator at the Maker Place. So that is for electronic door going in, entry door. And check 84383 on that same page to Uline in the amount of $833.05. That was for shelving for the Makerspace storage room, and then a large industrial table for your Makerspace as well. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve the accounts payable check register for the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, November 30, 2022, in the amount of $1,290,912.62.
I second.
Second, okay, any more comments, questions? Okay, roll call please.
Trustee Doral,
Yes.
trustee Ballard. Yes. Trustee Meadow,
Yes.
trustee Samari,
Yes.
trustee Suffolk.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Yes. All right, let's move on to the executive director's report.
Okay. On the first page of the director's report, I want to highlight our Arcade Age exhibit, which opened in November. So mid-November, the first floor of the library was transformed into a retro arcade for the Arcade Age exhibit, on loan from the Cradle of Aviation Museum and Education Center, and sponsored by the Friends of the Library. The exhibit tells the story of history of arcade games from their inception in the 1940s to their general decline in the 1990s. Along with display pieces, there are 12 arcade games set to free play for library visitors to enjoy. And on Friday, November 18th, the exhibit officially opened with the 80s themed dance party. 450 visitors of all ages played arcade games, walked around the library with Stranger Things scavenger hunt, and danced to 80s tunes in the Hendrickson room. So, Greg, I don't know if you want to speak to the arcade exhibit at all. I believe you're probably one of our power users.
I want to know about the dancing to the 80s.
No, it's awesome. And I like them. I'm actually in the picture and they're right on.
Are you really?
Right on the edge.
Oh,
yeah, there you are.
Just in case they-
You're
Right in line.
waiting for a kid to get off their donkey.
I was definitely waiting for it to go off.
All right, on page 3, on Sunday, November 13th, 77 attendees joined the Arlington Heights own the Arlingtones, who served up different quartet configurations and performed songs throughout the decades. Programs and exhibit staff hosted the celebration, which began with the performers honoring branches of the service with a melody of tunes. The performance went on to include Beatles and Beach Boys, selections from the Modern American Songbook, and even sing-along, which moved one couple to get up to dance. The event ended with a reception complete with refreshments. Then on page 4, Lego Night, on November 3rd, our programs and exhibit specialist Amy Musinski and digital media specialist Chris Smith brought Lego Night to Arlington Ale House. 21 adults of varying ages spent the night meeting, building, and competing in challenges. The casual and social night was such a good time with great feedback that staff plan to repeat the adult exclusive program with even more nostalgic games and activities. On page 5, our info services librarian, Brittany Coleman, partnered with the Illinois Department of Employment Security to host an all-industry job fair. On November 10th, we welcomed job seekers and employers back to the library for this event. The last fair was in November of 2019, so pre-pandemic. Job seekers had the opportunity to discuss potential job and or internship openings with employers from various industries. We had 28 employers table at the event and 78 job seekers in attendance. Of those in attendance, 126 resumes were accepted, 9 people were interviewed, and we were thrilled to hear that 24 individuals received job offers. So effectively done. Okay, then on page 8, I just want to highlight some of our genealogy programs. So this fall has been a great representation of the variety of immigrant ethnicities. Genealogy and local history librarian Nikki Camp has been deliberate in planning and offering classes such as beginning Italian genealogy, an introduction to Japanese American genealogy, researching Mexican American genealogy, and they came on this ship, which was more general genealogy. Then on that same page, the Makerspace Veterans Day of Service. Leanne Davis spearheaded the Makerspace First Day of Service for Veterans Day 2022, which saw 68 visitors wanting to learn and lend a hand. The Maker Place was transferred into an open house full of making, demonstration, and most importantly, opportunities to give back to the veterans in our community. Some of the day's festivities included 3D printers creating and volunteers showcasing 3D printer assisted devices, sublimation and laser engraving gifts for veterans, sewing hats and scarves to donate to Operation Gratitude, card making, both to send to vets and blank cards for vets to send home. And a total of 10 hats, 16 scarves, and 45 cards were made.
There's a lot to, and I was thinking about it as a reader, the upper part, but when I came down to the bottom part, that I was thinking about trying to find out what programs. That would be a fantastic program.
Okay, then on page 9, I just want to highlight the Maker Place statistics. This is kind of based on a conversation that we've had about statistics, just kind of highlighting a comparison year over year for Maker Place, just to give you an idea of where we're at this year versus last year. So this November's door count was 1,235, which is 24% higher than November of 2021. So we are definitely seeing growth over there. Also on that same page, just to show you a picture of that ramp reconstruction. That is the concrete work that I spoke about. And then on the bottom of page 10 and top of page 11, just want to highlight a couple of educational opportunities that Catalina Shim took advantage of. So she attended the ALA e-learning advanced course outreach and marketing for underserved populations. And she also attended the Biblioteca Insiders community event in Skokie, Illinois. And that event centered around EDI and serving the most vulnerable customers. So that is everything I have for the director's report. Do you guys have any questions on anything?
Yeah, I was just curious about, for the Maker Place, the Niche Academy.
Yes,
What is that?
that is it's an online training software that we subscribe to, and it allows us to provide customized training for the kind of stuff that we have. So,
Okay. I didn't realize it.
good question.
Yeah, I'll just observe how much more foot traffic you've got in the building now compared to a month ago and same month last year. And rather than guess or assume the reason behind it, maybe you can share with us why we're seeing such incredible increase.
Yeah, most of that is Greg coming back and forth to see. Sorry.
Playing at the arcade.
Yeah, playing at the arcade.
I know.
I mean, really with this exhibit, I think that makes a lot of sense that people are coming in to see the exhibit. We've seen
I mean, it's
a
good.
lot of people coming in
Yeah.
for that. With that kickoff event, 450 people right there.
Right.
So, that's why we're seeing the increase in people coming in. But that's independent of, circulation.
Right.
Well, I feel like also, I mean, the parking lot was packed tonight and walking up here, all those rooms are full of students. So I think students are also studying together more than perhaps they were in the last couple of years, which is great.
Yeah, we've seen increased use of the tables and the study rooms.
Yeah.
Just a couple things. One, just a comment, when I read the arcade league pop-ups, and instead retro technology included corded phones and VHS. I felt bad, so I gave my parents when I was in high school. One thing I just got to ask though, as far as the numbers go, on your Maker Place statistics, you've got 996 November 21, but on your dashboard, it says 1,188.
That's interesting. We'll look into that and find out why there's a difference. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know off the top of my head why that's different. Can you?
And then I had one other question on page 7 for the chart on the right, the library cards created. What are those like stars? That's online. What is that? Or was that a typo?
Oh, yeah, I see that. Oh, you know what? There was probably a footnote on the spreadsheet that this was taken out.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I was looking for a footnote and I didn't see it. So, okay.
All right, anything else? All right, very good. All right, thank you very much. All right, let's move on to item 10.
Can I? Oh, yeah, that's item 10. I'm sorry.
I know it's December 20th.
It's the storm. We're all getting ready for the storm.
Item 10, let's start from again. Item 10, the one book, one book.
I would say we can just straight numbers.
works for us.
Yes, it will in 1 minute. I'm gonna just share the screen here so that people at home can see.
No, I mean, like, you know.
All right. Okay, this is all yours.
Okay, very good. Thank you for having us. So my name is Melissa Goodman. I'm one of our info services supervisors here. And we have a whole bunch of our planning team with us. And before we get started, we also have some of our planning team in the audience, Cindy Hammond and Coach Valencia from Election Services. And I'm here with Sherry. I'm Sherry Tater. I'm a reading advisor. I've been of you guys about this before, but all right, we're excited. So we're going to tell you about this year's One Book, One Village, the initiative that we had surrounding the book, Our Individuals by Naomi Hirahara. So we're really excited. This was our 9th annual, ninth annual One Book, One Village. And even after 9 years, still bringing up a few firsts. So this is the first time since our inception in 2014 that we've had a mystery selected. This is also our first opportunity to that we've taken to highlight a Japanese American author, which is really exciting, and also to highlight Japanese American culture and history, particularly the experiences of those in internment camps. We can use the word first time, but it's a lot of first times this year. First time also for our local appeal and tie into Chicago and the setting and the history here, as well as our own community's large Japanese American and Japanese immigrant relations right here in Arlington Heights. It was also the first time that we had a dedicated outreach representative, which we'll hear from Catalina in a little bit, and having her on the team and really representing and helping with the planning and getting this book out to our community in new ways and finding new partnerships has really been a great thing for this year. Clark and Division provided more opportunities than ever for community outreach, like we said, programming, discussions, social media, and then also the first time partnerships we've had. And last but not least, OBOB this year, our author event was both in person and live streamed. This hybrid approach was very successful, and we hope to do it again in the future. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take us through. There we go, some circulation stats. So this year was a 12-week program, which is on par with many of our last years. Though some of our past years were longer. Interesting to note, this was our highest circulation since 2015, and it's the only time we've had higher circulation has been when we counted for a longer number of weeks. So we were really happy. To give you an idea of some circulation, we did want to go ahead and have a few years charted to give you some context for year over year. So you can get an idea of how things were trending pre-COVID, which you can see, and then really a sharp rise in this year's popularity as far as checkouts go. So we returned to fiction this year. You remember last year, Brady's New Breath was nonfiction. Fiction tends to be more popular. It's also a mystery, which as far as genre goes, is very popular. So with that, combined with the local appeal and kind of maybe coming out of the pandemic era, those may be reasons that we saw increases in circulation. And then also we were able to bring copies to our outreach event, which you'll hear more about from Catalina, but that could have helped our circulation this year as well. For formats, we were able to have all of our in-demand formats this year, which is great. That included audiobook, CD, and large type, which are increasingly hard to come by. As you can see, regular type is far and away still our most popular format. But e-materials were really popular this year as well, accounting for 25.4% of our checkouts. That's both ebooks and e-audiobooks. And just kind of interesting to note, that's comparable to last year's number. It was about the same, but really these last 2 years are a sharp increase over past e-material checkouts. So perhaps this is a new trend in sticking. Also, just to note, we did have companion titles, which circulated 121 times. The bulk of those were our tie-in materials for review services. We had a picture book called Fish for Jimmy, a middle grade novel called Dash, and a teen novel called We Are Not Free. So it was great to be able to work with YS to bring the experience to all these events.
Community connections. So this was the first time that I reached. Oh, hi everyone, I'm Catalina Shen, Community Engagement Liaison. So again, first time that outreach was a very deliberate and dedicated part of One Village. We really tapping into the Japanese and the Japanese American population. We knew that the local appeal was high, but we really didn't know how meaningful these connections were going to be, and that was something that we were able to do this time. Some of the feedback that we got from the community was how visible One Book, One Village was around town this year, and that was a huge success for us. And that was also thank you to the different partnerships that we got throughout this season. Kinokuniya bookstore, that we not only had a pop-up event happening there, but also had an ESL book discussion in the bookstore. They also had a sale for the book, motivating people to buy it and come to the authors event. I'm sorry. Mitsuwa Marketplace, which is the big Japanese store that where the Kinokuniya bookstore is, was also a place where we had another pop-up. And going back to Kinokuniya, they also did a national social media post for us, which was great. We also had a partnership with the Japanese American Society in Chicago, which that also led to different another partnership with the Japanese Exchange Teaching Alumni Association. We've had a virtual book discussion with them, with both of these organizations, and the Japanese Exchange Teaching Alumni Association also covered the Midwest chapter. So we did virtual events. We had people from different places, Missouri, Wisconsin, not only from the village of Arlington Heights, but beyond that. So Eric Matsunaga and Naomi themselves are wonderful social media partners. District 214, other venue with Forest View, and students from Rolling Meadows and Black Grove High School that attended the Titan event that we had with Tracy Ching, and Village of Arlington Heights and Arlington Heights Park District that we had our Heritage Fest partnership that was technically the outreach kickoff of the One Book, One Village season, and One Book, One Village was representing the Japan and Japanese American culture in the festival.
May I ask a question,
Yes.
please? So with respect to the partnerships, is this a first as well in terms of the breadth of the outreach that we went through with One Book, One Village?
I would say in the past, we've had some partnerships, but certainly not on this level. So we're always excited to partner, and I think last year we highlighted we had a few community partners, but with Catalina as a dedicated, a new staff member and a dedicated member of this team, we were able to really concentrate on
Good,
it.
yeah, especially the Japanese American Society and the Asian alumni is really impressive.
Yeah, I also missed to mention that the Asian American Bar Association.
Yeah, the bar
was
association,
another
right.
organization that we had a good discussion with. Yeah, that Neil and I were part of. So because of how much the word out of One Book, One Village from Arlington Heights was getting out there, we got contacted by these organizations through the Asian American Bar.
They reached out to us.
So we reach out.
Wow.
Yeah, so and then we reach out to some of them too. So they were already in the loop of what was going on with us. And in the previous years, we've been in the farmers market, we've been part of some festivals, but this year we really wanted to have a presence where these populations were. We really wanted to tap into the Japanese and Japanese American population in Arlington Heights, since the local appeal was something very important. So of course, these led to 1,115 community interactions. These are people that we connected at events and during our outreach. And again, it was a meaningful connection of just having a student from our ESL office coming to this, having people in the community coming to this,
people attending different festivals and, being attracted by how, or giveaways were of the origami or that we were bringing, books to be checked out at the table too. So this was really interesting for them. And also these, that includes the 200 students from Rolling Meadows and Buffalo Grove, High School that we have even used tied in with Tracy Chief that Neil will mention a little later. And the matcha and the ESL workshop. It was the first time that the ESL, office had the opportunity to have a program in the makerspace and in the makerspace kitchen. This program was really inspirational. We had someone from our community who is a Japanese student from ESL that became a volunteer leading this program. We had a beautiful hybrid audience and a diverse audience of ESL students and just local members of our community joining this. And it was an outstanding program for sure, as well as the matcha program that happened in the kitchen. So I don't know if you have any questions. Okay, I'll leave it to you.
So I definitely want to give Callie and Roberts, you did a wonderful job with this outreach. And to your point, Trustee Suplet, like there were some very serendipitous moments with this. Stephen from the Asian American Bar Association reached out to us. There was a real buzz within the community, which I think helped to really elevate not only the checkouts, but also attendance to programs as well. So I am here to talk about programs, and my name is Neil Parker. I'm a programs and exhibit specialist. One thing I can say, having been in a lot of these programs, the audience was different than typically what an Arlington Heights Memorial Library program looks like. And what that means is that it was far more diverse, which was really wonderful to see, given the context of the book itself and what we were discussing in our book discussions in our programs as well. So we had, let's get that, but that's okay. Community members were very engaged throughout. We had community members come up to our info desk and mention that they had relatives or that they themselves had died in terms of cancer and experiences. This was a very personal story, a very personal book for a lot of our community members. I believe we had a very wide ranging and inclusive and diverse suite of programs as well, ranging from traditional history programs, local history programs. Eric Matsunaga, kind of a funny story as well. I ended up writing Naomi's agent to see if she could put me in touch with him because I heard that there was a connection there. He got back to me right away and said that he's sort of a research assistant for the book. And so just having that connection as well was really, really quite cool. So as I said, we had a craft program, which included staff book binding. This is sort of a traditional Japanese way of binding books. We had a matcha tea program in addition to the ESL matcha program, which Catalina mentioned. I can't say enough really about the author event itself, including the amount of people that are coming out to see an in-person event following the end of the COVID era, I guess, and also those that were watching online. So we had 14 adult programs, and that included 4 youth programs. 2 of which are the outreach to high schools, which we can talk about too. And overall, we had 917 program attendees. Taken as a total down with both discussions, we had 1,069 attendees for those. The author event was viewed in person by 275 people, and it was watched through live stream. We were able to connect with Kevin Corcoran, who is in charge of L'Oreal Media, and he does all of the live streaming for the village at Forest View. So this was a great connection there too. It's incredibly professional. And as of maybe about a week ago, there were 610 views post event on YouTube. I reached out to Naomi and she's allowing us to go through January, which is also incredibly generous and gracious of her. So this was very, very cool. Okay, when we were sending out surveys for our programs, we were interested to get a little bit more glimpse of what our participants, what our attendees were thinking about, or what their experience was with One Book, One Village. 85.3 Arlington Heights residents, and then a 14.7 non-resident. many coming from Chicago, many connected to some of the organizations that Catalina mentioned. They help spread the word as well. So we have a 31.9%. This would be those who had maybe one or two experiences with one book before. We had a 31% rating of those who had no experiences with their first one book. And then, you know, it's good to know that almost 37% of Arlington residents are always looking forward to one book. Those are great, great numbers.
Yeah. On this survey, how did you conduct this survey? Was this just a blind survey of residents, or was it a survey of those who attended?
So it was any program that was attended would
Of
have.
all the
special
programs.
question, is this your first one book? Have you
Okay.
attended once or twice? Do you always look forward, or is this your first time?
Okay, thank you.
And so it broke it down to really smart articles.
So if I watched it later that night because I was out of town, I'm trying to remember, did someone like me get a survey? Like, how do you know who watches it?
So, yeah, it would be, I believe it's impossible to
Right.
send a survey
Yeah.
through YouTube.
Right.
So this would only affect.
Well, I mean, I went to a program too, so I got a survey that way, but I'm just trying to think. So there's even more people that,
There's so many out there that we.
right. I mean, I'm guessing that a lot of people perhaps that watched online or whatever may have been first time, you know,
I would think so.
first
That
experience
makes
with.
sense.
And please be advised, you know, that also when you send a survey, you only get about a third of the people that are actually responding. to the
Right.
survey too, so there's a bunch of people that we
Sure.
don't know if they're first time and all that.
Yeah.
That's those who actually respond. to the survey.
Yeah.
We love people that open those emails.
Yeah.
Do you-
Never get us your survey.
Do you find that this big overarching program gets a higher response rate for surveys?
I did find that we received, you know, maybe I'd have to take a look at the numbers, but at least 10 to 20% more responses. And I think it was the subject matter.
Yeah,
think
I
it
would
was this
kind of think
connection.
so.
And also, I mean, outside of this community, the fact that you had almost 15% coming to our programs, coming to Naomi's author, it just really shows like how the engagement there. Okay.
Yeah, I just have one quick question, just with the statistic. Was it a forced answer, so just one? So if someone had a past experience, they couldn't always look forward to it, so it's all.
It was, so, yeah, I mean, I guess that we sort of maybe, you know, jazzed up these before, but it was like, you know, is this your first one book? Have you attended 1 to 2? And then, you know, do you always look forward to one book?
Right.
Attended 3 or more, sort of thing.
No, thank you, I was just curious if they were like, yeah, I've had a past experience, but they were forced to say like, I know this was like,
No,
Right,
this wasn't-
number one.
This wasn't required.
okay, I was
This was
just
not
curious.
required.
All right, thank you.
And here are just a couple quotes. This was such a great book and event. I learned so much and feel very enriched. I'm very thankful for the library. Yeah, fantastic program, excellent event, well organized. And the author was personal, interesting, and I could have just staffed more and more of these, but I think that.
As Sherry goes, I did want to highlight one more, comment that we got with people being very thankful for the ASL interpreter. So it was really nice to see somebody call that out as well.
What first kids are going?
So we had done it last year with the virtual, one. I'm not sure about.
We have done it in the past. I don't know if it's every year or not, but I do know we have had. All right. Our book discussion. So I'm lucky enough to have run a lot of our book discussions and was the person that was in charge of all of our community book club members. So this again was an exciting time because it's the highest community book club participation ever we've had. We've had 33 book club check out a set of books along with questions for their book club. So some of these people have 5 people in their book club, some of them have 15. It varies, but the one reason I feel that this number was so high this year, which was actually 33 book clubs, is because we give our book club members the opportunity to find out the title before anyone else and check out the books before anyone else. And so, in order to get to as many groups as possible, we want to be able to give them the 4-week checkout. And so, this happens normally at the beginning of August. And we allow them, like I said, so 33 is a big number in comparison. The year before was 11. We have had one other year that was 32, so I'm beat it by one. But yes, this is very exciting. We had 13 book discussions. And this is a combination of in-library book discussions. We went out into the community, and then we did have a virtual book discussion as well. And this way we tried to reach as many community members as possible. We had 152 book attendance, book discussion attendees, and then also for some of the people, it was kind of to Neil's point, it was a third where returning customers who come back annually who do our book discussion for the One Village and look forward to it, as well as attracting a bunch of new members and new people coming to the discussion, as well as new book club members as well. So, where is that? Okay, so what the real appeal I kept hearing for all these book discussions was that this book resonated with many of our readers for learning about the Japanese culture, the history of the Japanese internment camps, and then this, once again, the Chicago local feel. So that was the three things that really resonated in these book discussions and with our members. I also did send out a survey. I don't have the survey results. And the reason I spoke to Neil's thing is when I sent the survey out to the 33, I had 11 responses. So, but out of those 11 responses, it was extremely positive. Once again, out of those 11, it was like some were the first time attendees, some have attended for many years. I did ask them, it's your first time doing OBOB at the book club, and how many years? And we did have, I think, 2 that have done it for 9 years straight. So that's kind of exciting too.
Sure. Can I just have a quick question? For the previous slide, so the 152 is pertaining to the 13 book
Yes,
discussions.
yes, I apologize. Yes, so that's everything from I did a tea and discussion here in the Henderson room where we offer Japanese teas at Gakutsua. That was great. We did a discussion with partnership with youth services for their book as well, the tie-in book. And then we had one that was out at the Ale House, which was fun there. And one was virtual. So we had a bunch of different, and then that includes the ESL book discussion as well as 3 different senior services discussions as well. So there are a wide variety of types of discussions.
Hi, everyone. I'm William Poland. I'm a communications and marketing specialist.
What do I got questions for you, William?
So promotion for this year's one book started on Friday, August 26th. It was promoted on our social media platforms, on our website, in our September newsletter, with an in-library display, and with an announcement email that was sent out to our email subscribers. So right away, we noticed a positive response to our announcement, and one thing that really stuck out to me was this year's announcement email. This year's announcement email was opened over 2,000 times with a 52% open rate. In comparison, last year's email was opened 1,664 times with a 34% open rate. So these are very great. This is a very great number, and it's great to see it go up this year as well. It shows that, our community is still engaged and interested in OBOB and is really interested in knowing what the next book is going to be. And this was also definitely an early sign in showing how our community would feel, how this book would resonate with our community. So throughout the duration of one book this year, we sent a total of 26 different emails that either promoted OBOB directly as an initiative or an OBOB related programming. These emails were opened a total of 48,083 times. Additionally, we also maintain consistent promotion on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We had a total of 4,570 engagements across platforms. And when I say engagements, I'm referring to any direct interaction that someone has with our posts on our own social media platforms. This would include likes, comments, shares, and video views. And one thing I just wanted to highlight here really quick was that this is the highest amount of social media engagement we've had since 2018 with every note play. Yeah. So then, actually, really quickly before moving on to the website, there's one other social media highlight I wanted to mention. And that's this year, we had the opportunity to develop some really great social media partnerships and relationships. With Catalina's role in outreach, I was able to meet the marketing teams from the Japan America Society of Chicago and Kinokuniya. And together we were able to brainstorm just some fun social media ideas for social media posts. Additionally, it was really nice to see this year that Naomi herself was continuously engaging with our posts on social media. Anything that we posted, most of the time she would share with her following, which is very robust. This year, we actually had a total of 54 different posts from Naomi, Eric Matsunaga, and from other social media partnerships. Because something like this just really expands our reach, and it also strengthens our following moving forward into future years too. So then with our website, this is something that we put a lot of time and effort into. Of course, the OBOB webpage is the place to go if you want to check out a copy of the book, or if you want to register for an event. But our staff also spend a lot of time putting a lot of resources together for our community. This year, people that visited our page could, check out information on book discussions, our read-alike lists. There was an Explore More page that had a lot of additional information if you wanted to learn more about the history behind Clark and Division. And there was even an interactive map that would take people through all of the locations in Clark and Division and just give them some additional context. And two really interesting statistics here. One is that this year our website was viewed more than 9,000 times. This is a huge increase compared to 2,062 views from last year. And one thing with our marketing strategies that no matter whether it's social media or display or giveaways, our newsletter, we're always trying to drive people to the website as the place to go for more information. So to see that that strategy is working with these numbers is just really nice to see. Another really interesting fact was that our interactive map had an average retention rate of around 4.5 minutes per person. And with the website, you only have usually a couple seconds to grab someone's attention before they just click away. So to know that so much time and effort went into compiling all of the information for that map. And to see that people were staying on the page and looking through all of that is just really nice to see. So now I'll turn it over to Neil.
We'll make this part brief.
If I may. For you, Wade. I think what the team achieved with social media is extraordinary, and I think you share that observation as well. I think part of it is again, those partnerships that were being formed with outside organizations, and as you mentioned, William, the support from the author and Eric, and their ability to retweet or share what we were putting up that had to drive some of those numbers.
It was huge in a lot of Naomi's posts. You would look at it, over 100 likes, even for like anything we would consider.
So that wasn't a contractual obligation, was it?
We got lucky, yeah. She's a very,
Yeah.
She's on social media a lot, she has a following, and she is very active, and.
Yeah, I mean, still getting them with the
Yeah.
stuff that she's doing in LA now.
Yeah,
Her and Eric are still responding, and I just saw Eric liked one of our Instagram posts.
Wow. Well, and I don't know that if it's possible to make that a contractual point. It may not be. It might just again be part of the individual that you were working with. But the other question about your 26 emails.
Yeah.
That's a lot of emails, my friend. How many unsubscribes did you get? Oh, really?
It's the people that subscribe to our emails, we do a good job of curating those lists so that the people, when you sign up for an email, you're signing up for whatever interests you. So like with the 26 emails, a lot with the OBOB program, it's a way. So like we have a Danny Ranges program for Akira Kurosawa. So that would go to our movie list, so the people that would see that program want to know more about movies, movie related programming. So.
Okay. That's your story?
You're saying not every individual got 2016.
No, no,
26 different types of emails.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
So it's not like one person.
Okay.
correct.
All right. And then the last question is the web content. I mean, the design of the web content was extraordinary. What was the team behind that produced the content for that?
A lot of folks.
Yeah,
So,
these guys.
yeah, so some of the content, the info services library did put together the map and explore more. It's very library thing to do. They were so nerdy and happy to do it. But then a lot of it is like the read alike list comes from our advisors and info services. Our programs get pulled in. William, there's a lot of communications and marketing, and then of course, like our graphics and communications and marketing, which make it.
So with 4.5 minutes of people hanging on the map, is there an opportunity there for if not advertising on a commercial way, reinforcing the library's own internal services? I mean, people are there.
I think, yeah, I think the local appeal again was a big driver there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So for much more time, I think Mike's gonna call security. Spending. The good thing about spending is that there were no unexpected or uncalled for expenses. There was little question going on as to whether or not we would be able to handle our streaming, or live stream of the event in-house or go outward, and we ended up going with a third party. Kevin did a wonderful job with that. In terms of collection, we spent $1,623.03 on audiovisual material and $7,954.86 on physical books. For marketing promotion, we spent $609.83, and this would include things like the origami bookmarks that everyone absolutely loved. Super popular. Okay. The grand total for Naomi's author event was $12,593.02, on top of the $4,450.88 for programs and discussions, for a total of $17,043.90. In total, this sort of put us right in the middle of all of our previous programs, which was great. It wasn't overly expensive, and we certainly didn't do this cheap, and I think we ended up with a really wonderful product. In total overall spending on everything then would be $27,231.62. That includes everything as a total. And to just sort of wrap things up, there are some wonderful pictures. We'll get back from social media and also some of our programs too. Eric and Naomi, one of the best pictures. Yes. Right hand corner.
Yeah.
This is a 100-year-old woman. She had met previously at a Buddhist temple and we showed up. She's from Chicago. This initiative had. Happy to take any questions.
So the last question I'll ask is with the streaming and the decision not to take questions from the audience. I know a lot of thought went into that decision, but I think looking forward, it's certainly possible to do that. I mean, for no other reason, the speakers can repeat the question that's heard. But I think maybe your audio was better than really imagined the first time around.
I think that was kind of the thing, we were being maybe a little tentative, not really knowing, not being familiar with this, but I think that that's a really great point.
So that I do believe we lost a little of the dynamic in the room because we didn't take audience questions.
Well, at least we did invite people to submit their questions as they were going into the room, so we did try to have the opportunity knowing that we would do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There was something that could come up on surveys though, so it's certainly something that we would.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna say, one of the other firsts is that she announced a sequel, right? Because I'm still waiting for the Feather Thief guy to write his next book. So I really thought that was kind of cool, and that it's coming out this summer. I thought that was great. I also read We Are Not Free, the young adult book. I think those young adult tie-ins and the kids' books, I've seen those in schools that I work in, but the young adult book was really good. So I think that's an awesome tie-in.
We were really glad that we could kind of go along with the board's recommendation. this
Yeah.
year. I don't know that that's gonna be possible every year, but I know that was something that the board was interested in us
Yeah.
pursuing, and you're just really.
It was, I mean, and it was very compatible, similar. I actually went to one of the programs in here in the library, and I was just amazed because there were two women who were cousins whose moms were sisters and came to Chicago, and they're like, oh my gosh, we never believed our mom was telling us the real story. And so they were fabulous. And then there were two other much older people that were alive during, well, at least one was during World War II and another from a European country, talking about similarities in different experiences they had. So I just thought that was really fabulous. And yeah, I commend you on everything you did to make this so exciting.
Yes. Okay.
So I think this kind of got brought up, but I do want to call it out one more time at the in-person event. And I can't remember if it was Eric or Naomi who asked like how many people were, you know, in an internment camp, or whose parents were, and there were so many hands that were raised. So that was just so cool to see. So yeah, to see a picture of the woman reminded me of that. And then the other thing, I think it might be really interesting. I don't know if it would be easy to do a stat like this, but like the cost per touch or per like attendee or something. So, you know, when you see that number, oh, that's a lot, but then when you think of how many people and how many like programs and everything into that. Again, I know it's hard. We just keep it in last year again. But yeah, great talk. Congratulations.
Yeah, just want to finish saying it was a great job. And I've been privileged to sit here for 9 years and see all these presentations and what's been going on. It's amazing watching the evolution of what's going on every year. You know, starting from the thoughtful thought of the book itself and how it's going to interact with the community. And that's obviously, you know, point number one. To hit it out of the park with it was so fantastic. The outreach, you know, adding that into it was just fantastic. So I think that's one of the things and I'm not going to do it to you guys this year, but one of the things I put people on the spot before when we do the presentation is what did you learn from this that you're going to take to next year? And I know there's things that you learn, you know, that you're going to take to next year. So it's going to be great. You know, the marketing, you know, the numbers that we got there, you know, 4.5 minutes of somebody staying on a page is just amazing. You know, you said 11 out of 33, so 33%, you know, reply back. That's actually a great number. You know, replying to a survey. I mean, that's blowing it out of the water, you know, something like that. So yeah, congratulations, great job. Can't wait till next year.
It's already
All right. Let's keep moving on here. Where were we?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Item 5, Andy, sorry. Let's do the Kid World Refresh project update.
Okay, I'd like to invite Andy Dogan from Williams Architects to talk about where we are with our Kids World project and continue the conversation on doors and interfaces. All right, give me 1 minute to get the proper slides. Oh, I can do it over again.
Well, I'm not sure how I can follow that, but I do have some, hopefully some good visuals. I can talk about. So while Mike is getting the slide deck up for tonight, thank you for having us again tonight. Just to recap, at the board meeting 2 months ago, we were talking about the idea of creating a glass door here at the entrance to Kids World. And I wanted to start our deck tonight with just what we're looking at, what are we dealing with here? And we put all these colored planes over this picture just to reinforce everything that we've got to think about to really create a cohesive entrance. What we need, these are surfaces that we need to consider. These are places where things live, where displays live, where things have to go. And what we heard from you is that a few things. The idea of the glass doors was very expensive, and that is very true. And that we'd like to see some other ideas for how we can define an entrance to the kids' world without taking that step of having the doors. So we've been working with staff quite a bit actually over the last 2 months. We've had actually 5 separate meetings to talk about different ideas and to talk about how we can make this entrance something that accomplishes those goals of slowing people down, right? And to notice the moments they're in, notice that they're entering another world, so to speak. But it doesn't have the door that works within the budget parameters that we've already set for the project. So what does this accomplish for us? We want to welcome children and families into their own area. We want to set the tone for the experiences that they're going to have in there, right? We want to create what I would call unique and changeable moments upon not only entering the department, but also exiting, so that people slow down, people think about coming in there. There is something that gives people pause, which helps address this issue of the runway that Trixie and her staff are dealing with, right? We want to create an additional opportunity for display and for changing collections. Now, this isn't a main objective of it, but it does give us some opportunity to incorporate something into the entrance design that says, here's a place to display something. Here's a very small collection that we might want to highlight, which obviously is great for the library, and is yet another reason to slow down. We want to create more of an acoustic separation between the department and the rest of the library. I think those of you who are familiar with Trustee Meadows' library, which is my library that I take my daughter to, that takes it to the extreme with a very long hallway getting back to the children, but it does create an acoustic separation between everything else going on in the building and what happens to children. We don't want to take 7 feet to do that here, but we want to create a little bit of a distinct moment and a transition into another world. And then because this whole project is an investment in updating spaces, bringing new services, bringing new programs, refreshing what Kids World is all about and what it provides the community. We do want to say, yes, something has changed here. We want it to be evident, whether you go right up at the entrance or if you happen to come in off of Dunton and you see it in the distance, that it helps draw you. So with that, what does that all mean? We developed a number of very quick ideas that we shared with staff, and we've been refining 2 of them over the last few weeks and preparing for tonight's meeting by going from general to very specific. And our goal for tonight was to share 2 different ideas with you that use this photograph as a basis for context that really show what the experience will be like, not only entering the department, but also leaving. So we brought 2 options to you tonight. One says, what if we take some of the wood that we have on the side here and in the slat wall and tie it into an entrance, and then create something colorful with some LED lighting that kind of wraps around it, draws you into the department, maybe with a little bit of a luminous ceiling that is a changeable color with some cutouts for displays. We also wanted to show this to you from the other side, from the between area, and as you exit the department. And I've got to give props to my associate Katie for doing some next level Photoshop of the rest of the library through there. But it gives you an idea of what you're exiting to and what that view is. So we like this idea for the way that it pulls you around and brings you in, but still keep it. So it's a moment to notice. There are things to look at, but it still keeps the opening a bit wider and honors and respects some of the material in the rest of the library. The other idea we had was to really make a bold geometric move. and create an entrance that's set back a little bit. And although it does play off some of the circular and curvilinear themes that are in kids' world now, I think it's strong enough to stand on its own. And as we start to replace those finishes over the years, it remains something that's exciting. It says kids, but it has a little bit more of a sophistication to it too. That says you're coming into a unique place. We really like what this particular idea does for a couple reasons. In addition to defining entrance, it gives us some opportunity for some display on the existing slab wall and within the entrance piece itself. We have the opportunity to use a wall covering or something else just to create an interesting pattern. And this is something that we could easily change up every year or every 2 years to keep it fresh and interesting. One other side benefit of this is a little bit of a security window that kids who will be able to come in and see through into the tween area, promote some visibility. And going back to the other view from this, it incorporates a little bit of seating. So wouldn't it be great to say, Mom, I'm going to be at the bench. I'll meet you there in 10 minutes or something like that. So those are some of the thoughts that we currently have. And before I go any further into budget next steps, just wanted to get reactions, comments, questions.
Go ahead.
Are you concerned when you see that long, and when you see the entrance? I love this. This is very nice. With the light bright wall at the end, that's just not gonna be a beeline. You know, well, and Bill Borden, and I never realized it, but I was told this after I came, that those colored panels, otherwise you see the play area from the front, and that's what slows people down. Of not seeing that play area right away, because the kids would just make a beeline all the way to the back and run through that. So are we concerned about that? That this, I have to agree, expense aside, I don't think the glass doors were ever the right thing. I think it's a barrier. I think it could be a dangerous, I mean, soon you're gonna be putting stuff on the glass because so children, unless you frost it or something, because I can see some children running into it. So I think that's a good omission, but I love this. I'm just concerned about you're gonna still have, and I don't know how many feet this is from that entrance back to that light bright.
So, I mean, that's a good 70 or 80 feet.
Yeah.
At least, so.
So that would be the only thing, unless there's some displays, some book displays that,
Well,
don't make it a straight shot all the way back.
Yeah, I think, first of all, there's a lot of things happening with interactives, with display and shelving. That would be in this plan here that are just.
That aren't, okay, so that it's not, it looks like a straight shot, but it won't
So
necessarily
it
be.
could be if that's how you decided to lay out furniture and shelving, but that's highly
Yeah.
unlikely.
That would be my only thought.
Yeah, so I mean, we do want people to see the Everbrights, and the entire concept that behind our reorganization was to draw people back to that. It's how do we create this element, or how do we create this moment that says, hey, here's the entrance, and short of having those doors can help to slow people down. So we think that this accomplishes that by changing the scale, by changing lighting and texture a little bit, by having a few displays, and potentially incorporating a place to sit. I think those are things that we could work out with either of these concepts. These are ideas that are fairly well-developed ideas, because we know you like detail and we want to be prepared. We can show how this works from every angle. But thank you.
So, concern that I have, a little confusion maybe I'm having here, is that when we talked about this a couple of months ago, and we decided, okay, let's open this up to potentially open up the budget, what I was hearing at that time was not so much that we needed to accentuate where the entrance was to Kid World. It was more of what we were hearing from staff was more of a safety issue. It was more of having a barrier there, so kids couldn't potentially, especially young kids, couldn't potentially just take off, or heaven forbid, maybe somebody grabs somebody or something like that. It provided a bit of a deterrent. and we completely taken that out. I mean, that, unless I'm completely off base, that's what we were talking about a couple months ago, was as a safety deterrent, not essentially the opening.
I think we're trying to do both. And what is very difficult about this is the things that we can do to indisputably slow down kids in terms of creating barriers, affect safety in that they become things that kids and adults can potentially run into, and they affect sightlines both into and out of the department. So what we've really been trying to do is create an entry sequence through these elements and through placement of displays and other features that helps to accomplish that, short of creating barriers which might create other issues. I think that would be my best explanation. And Trixie, Dan, and Mike, please chime in. I'm not understanding that correctly, or if you had other thoughts.
No, I think you summed it up really well, but I think our concern before was like running, like we're worried about running them out, like we don't care if they run into the space quickly, like that's what our goal is, but it was more like keeping them from running out too quickly. But yeah, I think you were correct, we mostly discussed a lot of the doors, but we kind of said, it's too much, we really don't want to have a door, that's really not the issue, we want to be welcoming and like Amy said, create something to slow everyone down, so it's safe for all.
And one of the takeaways that we had from the last meeting was we wanted this to be kind of an inviting area, and the doors were creating a barrier. Is that right? And so that was one of our things that we wanted to incorporate here is make this attractive to people. So even though Kids World is located on the other side, when you see it, you can see that this is an inviting or attractive area that you might want to check out.
It's a very unique issue or design problem in that we are trying to create something that sort of acts as a barrier without actually having the danger or the sightline issues of a barrier. And it's a hard issue to solve.
Well, so I was someone that was very much not for a door. I think this is great. I like both of them. I think Trustee Rule had that really good question about being able to lose sight, like where that little boy is on that picture, and that window kind of solves it, or the circular thing. So I'm assuming that whoever is at the desk in Kids World can sort of see here, and then whoever's at the front desk can sort of see. So that's great. So there's two.
Again, it's walking that fine line. We want to slow this down, but we need to keep enough of an opening to maintain the sight lines there.
Right.
So we are really walking tightrope.
Trixie, do you want to speak to sightlines in the department?
Sure. As far as the desk, there is just the one main desk. There isn't the front desk. We will plan to have kind of a mobile work area for staff in between area during after school hours, which is when we're anticipating we'll see a lot more traffic in that area. But as far as thinking about sitting at the desk, typically staff sit on the station that is right now closer kind of to the self checks, and the sight line is actually pretty good to that area. So I'm not.
Yeah. I think, I like both of these. I think the one where you could change out sort of wallpaper or whatever might be interesting, because it's a way that's not that expensive to refresh it when we feel like we need to in a couple of years.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really expect, I didn't think of this, but I am not. No, it really is, I can see the visual, the barrier, and yet it's still open. And then even the carpet, I mean, for little kiddos who are running too, like seeing a dimensional, the dark, I'm not sure if that was purposeful, but just like, I know children, they would just stop if they saw something, and then sometimes they just keep going, but thinking that it's a differentiation. I'm just curious if you're go comfortable sharing, like with regard to doors, I understand your concern, having little ones that did bolt, and do you think that this is sufficient? I mean, do you think the doors, are you still looking for doors or?
I'm conceding the doors.
No, I'm serious, you know, because what you see day in, day out is really critical to this decision, so, that was paramount to you, so I'm wondering if like, do you see something like this working if we went down this path? Because as, you know, President Big brought up that was, I too thought that was our concern about safety first, so are you not just conceding, but are you comfortable? I mean, is this like, okay, you know?
Yeah, I think that I can definitely see that little reading nook being a very popular area and kids being drawn to it and having that little kind of porthole into the tween area to see what the kids are doing. I can definitely see that being something that kind of gives some pause as little ones are maybe leaving the department. And I think having that, I mean, you said it, just having that differentiation and that's that like, this is where I stop, this is like where the kids area ends. I think that will be very
Okay, well, that's good. Well, in that case, then yes, I do think that is it's a great design, and just not being there day in, day out, like every day. But just really having that separation, because some kids are just gonna bolt either. I mean, you've got personalities too that you can't, I mean, the kids. So, no, it looks really nice.
Yeah, I also really like this circular. I think it just looks kind of futuristic and cool. And I think it's really smart to have the bench there because, you know, as a child, you see the stairs and you're like, oh, something to climb. And then that kind of is like, oh, wait, but there's something right here and there's this window behind it. So yeah, I just think that's a really cool design. I think both of them are cool, but until you show me the prices, I'm trying to.
Right. Well, I know what would slow them down. Would you like a pirate ship? Children's Miami Museum doesn't want it back, so it's gonna be junked. Yeah, the one we've got at the library right now. Yeah, can you use it at any of your movies? It'll be junked.
I can always use a
They
pirate.
don't want it back.
I've got a.
Right.
Come on, I-
We're working with 10 libraries right now. I'll put it on.
Really, yeah, really, because it will,
No.
you know, if we could fit it into our play area, but we've got these 4 pillars and it's not gonna work, so. Anyway, and it's nice, you know, but it's extra supervision. We only open the upper decks only certain hours of the day, and we have supervision there.
No, it's a lot of fun.
It is, yeah, but no, thanks for putting that out because it seems a shame. They just don't want it back.
So, if I can, so here's where my head is right now. We opened this, oh, first of all, designs are great, okay, and aesthetically, they look really good, but here's the thing. We opened up the possibility of expanding the budget on this for a very specific reason, okay? And that was all about safety. So I'm not convinced, and forgive me for saying this sounds really bad or haughty or whatever. I'm not convinced it slows down. It really is gonna slow anybody down. Some kid's gonna come zipping through this either way, okay? So if we did, regardless of what the prices are on the next slide that you got here, what does it give us that we didn't get in the original plan under the original budget?
That's a fair question. I'd go back to some of my original points. Our original budget really had nothing but a repaint and a graphic at the entrance. We weren't creating any kind of experience. We weren't really creating any kind of transition whatsoever. So I understand and I certainly respect your statement. I think that our goals for the project, as we've explored more concepts, have evolved and perhaps expanded. I think that we are trying to really creates a unique experience through a more defined entrance, which may not have been part of the original goals, but in looking at the ways that we can potentially improve this issue, arrive at something that we think does help, is an improvement, and provides something unique and special, a special moment that isn't there right now. It's hard for me to say, as someone who's not a trustee, and it's not my money, whether what that worth is, but we wouldn't have worked through this with staff and had all of these comments and suggestions over the last few months. We wouldn't have gone through this if we didn't believe that it was achieving these objectives. We've been working with you long enough to know that coming up with some ideas and saying, we think you should do this because it looks cool, is not a good answer.
Well, and I'll elaborate a little bit on Greg's point, is that if you look at the entrance sequence now compared to the entrance sequence that's being designed, I do see where you have incorporated some aspects that will just slow down pace one way or one direction or another. And so in that sense, yeah, that mission's been accomplished. But is the value there? And so I guess that's your next slide.
Yeah, well, to talk about overall budget. Well, first of all, I wanted to kind of let you know where staff and Williams ended up in terms of a recommendation of these two options. We think that we wouldn't be showing you two options that staff and Williams weren't completely comfortable with. But of the two, we do like the option two for a few reasons. It creates more distance between the stairs and the entrance, which is something that the original plans did not accomplish. It was just, let's redecorate what is there. We do think it does functionally slow some people down. The shelving, the bench, circular window in between area. It coordinates with what's there, but is flexible enough for the future. And I think, there was a very good comment there that we liked how you could switch out some of the things. You weren't relying on color, you were relying on strong forms and things that could easily be changed, which is part of what contributes to timelessness in design. So that's the collective recommendation of staff and our team. And in terms of budget, this is to directly answer your question, what does this cost? That is in SMC's hands right now. Getting an accurate budget from them is a 2-month process because they go out to trades and find that out. And that is in process right now. What we can absolutely promise is that this is a less expensive proposition than everything that putting the doors in would have involved. I would not have brought something to you that says, we're not sure what this will do, but by the way, it's going to be as expensive or even close. What this budget represents, however, is a combination of the phase 1 work that we've put on pause and some phase 2 work that the library has identified that we are still talking through. And this shows that our collective budget for the original phase plus what we are adding by virtue of bidding the work now in 2023 will be held to $650,000. Mike, is there anything else I need to add to that?
No, I think that covers. Yeah, that's what's already mentioned.
Yeah, so other than saying it will be significantly less than any option that involved a door and the expense that went along with it, I don't have a precise number tonight. We think both of the concepts are about equal, but if that's something that you feel you need to know to make a decision to direct us to move forward, we can work on it.
You want to speak to the construction of each of those, and then it's not proprietary stuff that can be.
Yeah, one of the things thanks for reminding me of that. One of the things that we wanted to emphasize with both of these concepts is that we are not looking to, we are going for a custom and unique look but with using very readily available materials and inventive ways to create lighting. So, for example, these are LED lights that bring that entrance. The way we do that is through very inexpensive LED rope lighting that's attached, and then a white acrylic cover that can be bent and removed. Those are the wood paneling. Actually, what you have in this is really plywood. It's a finished grade oak plywood. It's very durable and is a reasonably priced building material that's appropriate for this. In the other concept, you see a little bit more of that light. Creating these niches is a very simple thing to do. This is, again, just plywood and paint and laminate. So we do, in creating these ideas, we are really trying to think of doing this responsibly and not spending the $300,000 that Schaumburg has at the entrance to their children's student events. We want this to be easily obtainable materials. We want it to be something that is a good use of funds and achieves these directives while being creative and inventive and, as we said, bringing something new that people will take notice that has a purpose.
So going back to your financial page, are you saying that it might reach that even with that addition, I know you don't know the exact cost right now, but you're feeling that we're still going to be below budget for doing that?
Yeah.
Because I thought we were like right up against it when we were talking before.
I should say that these numbers include some phase 2 work that we're still talking about and need to define.
Okay.
Because we're working through some of these future phase 2 items, which we were supposed to do in a project this year, along with these things that we're trying to finalize now. So if I were you, I would want to see that number for the entrance in the context of everything else. And what we're trying to show you with this is we are going to make all of the phase 1 work plus what we will be doing additionally in 23 work within the original budget. We know we have to stick to that number. And we don't intend to take other things out of phase 1 or phase 2 for that matter to make that happen. We've always had some money budgeted for something happening at the entrance and for various decorative features throughout the department. And I think we'll be able to make it work within this budget. What we could definitely do to keep things moving and give the board some more flexibility is make that entrance feature an alternate bid. So when it goes out to bid, you'll know exactly what it comes back as. And you can make the decision based on the number you get at that time.
Would it be the same contractor? An alternate bid?
This will be, well, yes, it will be, Shales McNutt will be the construction manager. They're doing the budgeting. They will say, okay, carpenter, give me the price for this entrance, electrician, give me the price for this entrance. Just like on Makerspace, they'll give you, we had a number of alternates there. And we were able to take a look at them in light of bid results for everything. And, you know, that's, I'm asked all the time, when will you really know how much it costs? And the answer is when you get those bids. And the alternate is a good way for you to say, here's that nut, yes or no.
Right. Thank you.
So.
In addition, we'll also be seeking the minimum grant. Now, that doesn't help on our budget. We're going to still maintain the budget, but it does help on the revenue side, you know, potentially $50,000.
Good segue, Mike. So certainly, I know this has been a very long meeting, a lot of things going on. I don't want to take up more of your time that you're not willing to give, but certainly I appreciate everybody's comments and concern about costs. We're concerned about that too. I think we all know that if we don't hit budgets, it doesn't serve any of us well. And we've learned our lessons. We've learned our lessons there. Having said that, a $50,000 grant is available to us from the state library for the accessibility components of this project, for the wellness room, the new family restroom, the sink in the Lindsay room. This pause on the project and combining everything into a larger project has actually worked in our favor for that grant. We weren't eligible for that grant last year because it had been 2 years since we got it for Makerspace. Now we're eligible with this cycle. So we'll be working with Mary to get that application in by the 15th of January. As Mike said, that doesn't, it helps on the revenue side. It doesn't necessarily increase the budget of the project. So we want to finalize the scope along with that. Since we are working on phase 2 scope, or will be working on that. We'll be working on further concepts of what's involved in that. Having SMC do some budget validation, and John Shales and I will probably be back. January might be a bit soon because we have a bit more work to do with staff, but we want to come back to you and show you where the project is tracking. With the grant, we cannot actually we can't actually award bids for the project until the library has signed the grant contract, which usually comes out in April or May. So we need to time our bid process according to that. So construction, the majority of construction at least is probably looking at fall 23, just because of lead times of materials, staying out of the summer construction season where you're competing with school projects, which would affect pricing. But if there are ways to accelerate any of this, those are discussions we'll have with SMC and report back to you. So that's where we are tonight. Can I answer any other questions and comments? Yes.
Well, I know the projects are different, but we just received, we've had FMC cost out our branch expansion, 30% increase. Yeah, 30%. So the architect is now back to the drawing board trying to figure out what we might be able
Over
to.
what time period? Was it?
What do you mean? Over what
Like
time?
when was it originally budgeted?
Oh, I don't know, within the year.
Yeah.
Within the year, yeah.
We've been keeping tabs on these.
But this is a different project,
Yeah,
you know, there's more construction in this other one. But
It's a different project. This particular project, I would say, it's not free of risk or lead time
Yeah.
items that are an issue, but you know, it's
It's more of a remodeling,
Yeah.
you know, than, yeah,
so
construction.
I can see that. I
So I hope it
can see
doesn't-
that being an issue. So what I can say here is that we've had SMC weighing in on budget along with the process. The last update we got from them was in October.
Mhm.
So some of this inflation has already been baked.
Big, big,
And
good.
what I can say is that we are starting to see, and hopefully this bodes well for Gail Gordon's project too, but we are starting to see this inflationary period in construction go on. We are projects that we are bidding, and actually we just opened bids a week and a half ago at Naperville Public Library for renovations at Nichols. We got 4 or 5 bids in every package. We were 25% under SMC's budget,
Really?
and they
Oh,
were able to take all our alternates. So they're doing a good job. So as they say, actual results may vary, but we are seeing good signs. And on projects where we just bid to a general contractor and don't have a construction manager involved, we did a locker room renovation for Dundee Township Park District where we had 15 bids and they were 30% under budget.
Oh, great.
So the world is changing. There are still lead time issues. I don't think things are getting cheaper, but the rate of inflation is slowing down quite a bit. It's an economic cycle, and I've been doing this long enough to recognize and we're heading into one as far as construction is concerned. So hopefully that benefits this project.
So do you need anything from us tonight?
I think if there is a consensus toward which of the options, entrance options you like, that would be helpful because we do need to start detailing that and start continuing to funnel more. And as we get into the budgeting process with SMC, they don't want to estimate, they want us to tell us what exactly is that? What is that like? How is that attached? What material is that? So we need to do some detail work. It would help us greatly if that was on one concept versus two. So if there is a consensus on which way you'd like to go, that would be helpful.
So are you saying that if we give you guidance, I know we don't have an action item in this, so we obviously can't vote on it, but if we give you guidance tonight, are you going to come back to us with a budget for us to approve before we actually start the work? What you're talking about right now is getting the concept down.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Getting the concept down, we will have to develop either of those concepts a bit more in terms of some working drawings and specifications for SMC to fully budget it.
Okay.
But it's not as if we are finishing bid documents and then starting over again if you don't approve the budget.
Okay.
So you can, I would say this could be handled one of two ways. We're not looking for an official board action, but if there's a preference that is helpful for us to know. It could be either we come back with a budget that you approve, or we put together the project, put it out to bid, come back with bid results with the entrance as an alternate where it's clearly understood, the amount of it is clearly understood, and you make your decision at that point.
Okay, so let's do it this way. You've got two options, right? And this is regardless of budget. This is money. We're not worried about that. Let's just do a straw poll real quickly here. So just raise your hand if you're in favor of you gonna put it back up there. What's the first one? Okay, there you go. If you're in favor of the first one, put your hand up. Okay, I think this is going. If you're in favor of the second one, put your hand up. Okay. So I think you got
That's what we need. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Andy. Hey, just so you know, I know we hit you sometimes with some of these things on budget, and just so you know, we personally greatly respect what you guys do and everything that everyone's done. So we just, as stewards of the taxpayers' budget, while we also want to make it great for the library and for the people that use it, we also have to kind of watch from that end.
We completely understand. I am on the city of Oakland Park and Rec Board myself. I have to exhibit that stewardship, and honestly, I would be pretty surprised if I didn't see that concern. So,
Okay.
This is my job.
And this is our job.
And this is your job, and these are the kind of conversations that have to happen. So, I've got pretty thick skin. So
Okay.
thanks for every those questions.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right. Keep moving on. What are we on? We're on action item 6. Adoption of revisions to policy 5.003 circulation.
Okay, so I am bringing back the revisions to policies for the circulation policy. This was discussed at committee of the whole meeting. There was a question coming out of that meeting regarding the Lincoln renewal limits. There was a reference to it in the memo, but not in the policy. And so we did revise that. If you look at the policy on the second page of the policy, it's the third page in your memo, under C renewals, line 4, Lincoln items, that did say eligible for one renewal. We're changing it. We're changing it to in accordance with the lending and borrowing agreement. So that is the number of items that we lend or renew through Lincoln is really according to our lending and borrowing agreement, and that can change. Currently, it is at 1, but the consortium is talking about maybe moving that to 2 next year. So instead of coming back for a policy change every time we make those changes, we're updating the policy to refer to that lending and borrowing agreement. So everything else remains the same as what you saw.
The changes are we're going from 20 to 40 on reciprocal buyers. We're doing the automatic renewals 2 to 4. What you just added, what you just talked about, and these other changes, like the gender pronouns and all that. So all that is the same we talked about last week. John.
I move that the Board of Library Trustees adopt revisions to policy 5.003 circulation.
So any comments or questions? Yes, sir. Roll call, please.
Trustee Burrell? Yes. Trustee Bella? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Samari?
Yes.
Trustee Supplet?
Aye.
President Zen.
Yes. Fantastic. All right, thank you very much. Let's go on to action item 7, adoption of revisions to policy 7.007, use of flag on library property. So what we have added on here from our discussion last time, the section for the trustee responsibilities, we have the flag request form, and that's going to be, I'm sorry, where is that going to be again?
That'll be online.
It would be online. Right. Okay.
So the trustees will have access to it. You'll have to log in to be able to submit it. We revised the form with the comments from the previous meeting, including the submission date, the start date and end date for the filing of the flag, and then change some of those to actually have file upload capability instead of just text.
And then we also added in here, it says it on the flag request, the headline or whatever you want to call it, to Trustee Gallo's suggestion last time, please submit requests at least 45 days prior to the first day of the flag. This is what the staff has decided on the date that for the amount of time they get.
Yeah, so I looked at the calendar and that in 45 days will cover us for most of them, unless there's like a flag that would need to go up in the middle of the month. And it is submitted, 2 weeks before committee of the whole meeting. That might be 60 days, but I think, in that kind of instance, I would give you guys a heads up that, we can't make that guideline. But I think 45 days as a general rule of thumb should give us enough time to go to the committee of the whole, bring it to the board, and then give us some time to order the flag for the maker.
Okay. Any more?
I just have a question, and I don't want it to impede this, but in reviewing the wording closely, like number 2 and number 3 are a little bit redundant, but did we get this originally? We sort of,
Are you talking about the first page?
yeah,
So 2 and 3 is what was in there before.
right.
So what did the flag?
Well,
request?
I mean, it's, you could put the phrase worthy of public recognition in number 2. I mean, they're pretty similar, but it doesn't matter.
I think part of it is the positive interest.
Yeah.
Representing the positive
Yeah,
interest.
that would be a lot for one sentence. Okay, that was my only
So
question.
the addition to that policy is on the next page, trustee responsibilities.
Right,
Just so-
yeah. I move that the Board of Library Trustees adopts revisions to policies 7.007, use of flags on library property.
Second.
Any more comments, questions on that? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Burrell? Yes. Trustee Bella? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Samari?
Yes,
Trustee Supplet?
Aye.
President Zen.
Yes. Yeah, motion passes. Let's go on to action item 8. Approval of the fiscal year 2023 Illinois Public Library per capita equalization aid grant application.
Okay, so we have the finished grant application here in front of you. This is the same application that you saw at the committee of the whole meeting. We're bringing it here for final review and approval.
This is actually, is this the third time we've seen this one?
This is the second time you've seen this completed, but the third time you've seen the
Yeah.
actual application.
John,
I'll move that the Board of Library Trustees approves the fiscal year 2023 Illinois Public Library per capita equalization aid grant application.
Second.
comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Burrell? Yes. Trustee Bella? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Samari?
yes,
Trustee Supplet?
Aye.
President Zen.
Yes. All right, on item 9, I'm having trouble talking. Compensation structure development.
All right, next up, I would like to invite Lisa, or introduce you to Lisa Heck, our HR manager. She is going to talk to all of us about our market benchmarking and compensation structure developments and the recent study that we've done. So Lisa, give me 1 minute, we'll just share your presentation.
Got it. And obviously, we've talked about this multiple times this year too, so this is kind of the wrap up of everything we've been working on. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for supporting us doing this project. It's a big undertaking, took a lot of time and energy and effort on the part of many staff, but definitely worthwhile exercise. Good?
Go
Okay. So what we're talking about here is compensation analysis. We did contract with a professional comp consultant to conduct market benchmarking and comp structure development. We began in June and got our final report out in October. The effective date for all the changes will be January 1st. And really the big takeaway I want everyone to take here is we're doing really well. We are very well aligned with market. I know a couple months ago, we had a really great conversation at the board meeting or committee meeting, just about where we want to be and what we want things to look like. And I think, very much aligned with where we want our goals to be. And so that was really, really great. We're all very happy. Okay, so market benchmarking itself. What it is it's a way for us to verify that we continue paying competitively as compared to the market. It's a factor in staff engagement and retention, helps us look at, are we having balanced internal equity? It is best practice to do a benchmarking every 3 to 5 years. Our last one was in 2017. So we were at the later end of that and that was in the middle, not surprising, but still within the recommended timeframe, and really to simplify our pay grades. Our current structure is a little complex with having an exempt pay grade and non-exempt pay grade, a lot of confusion. So this really brings everything together in one linear pay grade that I think is going to make a lot more sense. A piece of that though is we're really kind of comparing apples to oranges. It's not a direct correlation between the old pay grade and the new. All right, so how does the benchmarking process work? First and foremost, we updated all of the job descriptions. So we have 86 unique roles here. A lot of job descriptions updated. And then the consultant took those and looked at things such as job knowledge, skills, qualifications, whatnot, and that's the data that they use to go ahead and do the actual benchmarking. Per our previous conversations, library jobs were benchmarked to library data, and general industry jobs were the library as well as some of the for-profit general industry arena. We did have 5 different surveys, compensation surveys that we pulled the data from. And with the mix of everything, we had some library-specific surveys, some for-profit surveys. We did have a carve-out of, kind of who we consider our comparable or competitor libraries, similar size in terms of budget, staff, whatnot. So we did have one of the surveys was a carve-out of just those specific libraries. I've lost my place. And then the last piece was trending the data. So most of the salary surveys are done the first half of the year, so they do some trending to age the data to our January 1st effective date. And they did factor in that we have a 37.5-hour work week instead of 40. So then part B was the compensation structure development, which they then took that benchmark data, create a single linear regression analysis, and figure out what's the best fit. We ended up with 12 pay grades in their new structure. There's about 11% in between each pay grade, and the minimum and the maximum are set at 20% above and below the midpoint. So really what having that 20% spread on each side does is it gives us a lot of flexibility when we're making individual pay decisions about hiring, promotions, things like that. And then what we did is we assigned every position, all 86 of those positions we talked about, got a pay grade assignment based on where their market benchmark data aligned to the midpoint. And it's literally just straight math there. Whichever one's closest to, that's where it gets dropped in. Yes, sorry.
So when you said there are 12 pay grades, what was the number previously?
Oh gosh, 16, I believe.
Oh, so this is less.
Yeah, it is less. And also keep in mind, before we had one that was just for exempt staff and a whole different one that's for non-exempt staff. So this is actually makes a little bit more sense because it's 12 pay grades and then each job is either exempt or non-exempt. And that was a piece of what the consultant looked at to make sure we were still classifying all the jobs correctly as exempt.
Lisa, with the minimum and max is 20% above and below. Are you anxious at all that you might get pushback from staff when they see this and how it rolls out in real time?
Yes.
Okay, never mind.
Merry Christmas.
See.
Yeah. Okay, so the next part of it is the payroll analysis, and this was a little bit of a blend. Consultant did some of it for us, we did some of it internally. So the consultants, they go ahead and determine where each individual falls as compared to the range. And then they assign a comp ratio. So what comp ratio is it is where in the range you fall. So 100% comp ratio is considered right at midpoint. That is exactly at market. So, and then you have the 20% spread, so 80% comp ratio is lagging the market a little bit, right? That's where you expect to see your new people, new hires, new to their role, things like that. 120% on the other end is the maximum. That's where you expect to see experience in tenured individuals. Okay, so for us as a library overall, once we took our new pay ranges and we applied everybody's merit increase for going into next year, what's the comp ratios again? We landed exactly at 100%. We averaged out to 100%, which means as a library overall, we are paying right on market. Now, I know we want to be a little bit more competitive. I still think we are, because I think the piece you have to factor in is 50% of our staff has been here for less than 5 years. 50% of our staff. So when you think about how many of those people are new and new to their jobs, new to the industry, whatever the case may be, we have a lot of, that's the fact that we still are coming in right at market at 100% means we are truly being competitively as to market overall. Okay. And then the final piece here really is the implementation. So John, to your point, I think this is where we are spending a lot of our time. A big piece of this is communication. Started communicating it with our managers and our supervisors. We started doing that last week. Talking with you today, and we'll be rolling out to the staff as a whole at our open mic town hall meeting on Thursday. We'll get all the information posted to our internal intranet, so staff can have a chance to look at it, digest it, think about it, ask questions. Absolutely want everybody to ask questions. Part of what we're doing with our pay analysis is looking at where are individuals, right? So there are some people who we need to bring up to a minimum. We know the minimum wage is shifting up, and we need to bring people up to minimum wage, maybe even a little bit more to make sure we're staying in alignment. So we did that. We did a full internal pay equity analysis. We knew that we have some departments where compression was an issue because the hiring rate was moving faster than incumbents were advancing through the range on their own. So we had to do some adjustments there. And we went ahead and did that. We do have a handful of individuals who are at max, who will be hitting the maximum. So it actually equates to 11 people, which is 5% of our staff population. And so we have, we are talking to those individuals, and their pay will be frozen at max. We are still making sure that everybody gets, where we do have bonuses available for individuals who no longer have room to grow within their range. And a huge piece of it is updating the ranges annually. One of the nice things about working with a consultant is they set us up to basically plug and play, right? We can now, for the next at least 3 years, just kind of go ahead and advance the structures appropriately. There's always one-off situations, right? There's certain jobs that grow and change quicker or slower than others, and we do need to look at those individually. But for the most part, we are set up to keep moving in a very smooth pattern until we get here. So that is kind of the nuts and bolts of all this. Did you have any questions? I know I went through this really quick.
What's the base pay of a librarian that just got the MLS?
Entry level.
Like
Entry
a
level.
brand new grad,
Yeah, entry level librarian.
around 52,000.
She's taking that back though.
I'm pretty sure her HR director, I've already asked me that question.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the tremendous amount of work that went into this, and we have a pace approach that's very similar, if not identical, to what you just described, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to get to the point where you are, and then to bring that into reality through implementation is going to be an equally difficult challenge, and I know you're up to it. And you need to deserve a lot of credit for that, and you need a lot of support from us in the next few months to the year because of the dynamic of introducing this change, which will help in many respects in terms of recruiting and retaining the younger folks that you referenced. Probably not so much concern about losing the people who are at the max of their comp ratio, but trying to maintain the morale of the organization throughout this. So as you look forward, Mike, and you're implementing this new compensation schedule, make sure that you're being very attentive to morale issues and to the best of one's ability, making people feel valued.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and, you know, one of the things that I personally, Mike personally really do is try to make sure everybody knows that we really do care, we do care about their feelings and their opinions, and we want to hear what they have to say, and while sometimes we have to deliver hard messages, and the answer may not be what we all want it to be, we deliver it in a very fair and equitable way. So I do appreciate that. And we do have a few things up our sleeve that, you know, that are good news items to share with staff that we're looking forward to, that can help.
And can I just say, overall, you know, the way this shook out was pretty much what we had hoped and expected, right? I mean, it is, yeah, there's a few positions that, you know, they are hitting max now, but overall, I don't think that this is a bad message to send to staff at all. I think this really, this new structure is kind of a revamp, and it really puts us in line with, you know, our competitors. Some of those positions we are paying a little bit higher on, so, you know, some of our longer term employees are, you know, but that just shows that we are a leader in that area. And so, Lisa and I are working closely with, on this, and, you know, with the management team and the administrative team. So we'll be talking more in the open mic meeting. Sure.
Yeah, I know we had discussed putting benefits in as a, you know, as part of the package. Does that, when we say that we're at that 100%, like, does that include, when we are comparing across the board, does that include the benefits?
No, that's just salary.
Okay.
That is just salaries, but that is a piece of what we communicate. So the communication plan for staff is to share a version of this presentation, basically. All the documents, staff are gonna have access to all the documents, see what the pay grades are, what other jobs are in the same pay grade that money all within. Our comp philosophy statement, so they understand, when am I eligible for a merit increase? How does this work? Their updated job description, right? Everybody's getting a new updated job description, so everybody needs a copy of that. They need to sign off on that. And we do a total compensation statement every year, which does pull in, you know, what are your benefits? What are the amount of days off you have? So kind of that non-monetary, or, you know, not direct compensation.
Do you know where we are then, if we're where we are, right? Like, meeting across the library world, do you know where we are with benefits? I mean, are we meeting, or are we above? Are we offering more?
Like, if compared to the library world as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, just when you said that we're looking good, we're like right in line with everything, so that doesn't include benefits, but do you have a separate idea of where we are with benefits? I'm just thinking of different, like, where we can, you know,
Yeah.
do we stand out a little bit there?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. The library world is very generous with benefits in general, very generous, sorry. So we have very comparable benefits. I think one thing that's really an advantage for us is our relationship with the village in terms of what we get for insurance. Our insurance coverage is significantly better than some of the other libraries, and for that, we're very grateful. And our staff are generally very
Can I speak to that? Just speaking to insurance, the library pays 86% of a staff member's insurance, that's for single plans, family plans. You know, that I would say it stands out above a lot of other libraries.
That is the same for each pay grade.
It is.
So fixed amount.
It is.
No matter what pay grade you pay that. Sounds good.
Sure.
Another place where Arlington stands out is, you know, when Mike gave the presentation, I think you had the numbers of how many libraries offer paid parental leave. any of those libraries, and they didn't answer me when I put it out there, they do not, they pay for the employee insurance. They will offer family, but they will, but they don't pay for it. So they're offering parental leave, which I have a hard time with saying, okay, this small group is going to get it, but your family, you're not offering family coverage. So of course, Arlington Heights is. So those figures, it's kind of jumping out ahead before you set a foundation with some of these libraries. Another question I had is, did the surveys include school districts 25, 214, one of those, so that we're comparing with educators, especially for the librarian positions?
I don't believe there were schools in there, but I have to go look. So the surveys have so many participants.
Yeah.
I would have to go look at the list.
I know, I was just curious because
I can't remember.
I think that's a benchmark too. Especially master's degree, what the school districts are paying for a master's degree, yeah. And theirs is very step. It's very exact, shall we say.
But no, this is good. It's good to hear that we're there as far as the market is what we're paying. Because I mean, obviously, we're trying to do things to make sure the staff realizes how much we want them around. Things that we've done. The additional paid days off or non-full time. I'm going to say these things wrong, and please forgive me if I say it wrong. The FMLA, correct? The additional money we gave to that, correct? I'm going to say that wrong too, right? But all those things that we're trying to do is we're really trying to show the staff. I mean, we just got another five-star rating, right? And without them keeping them here and growing them, we can't do it. So thank you for all the hard work to get that going.
I'll just add one more thing. Another thing that's really critical now, and librarian Mike knows this, is the unions are nipping at our heels. And so we have to have appropriate benefits and what we did with the part-time staff and giving time off, that very important. So, yeah, that's all I'll say on that, but it's.
We agree.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right,
Thank you.
very much. Okay. It's been a long meeting. We've got some other things to keep going.
I am
but
gonna need a cookie.
we'll take a 5-minute break here in a second. But let's go into other. We talked about the 5-star rating again. Thank you very much for the staff and everything that everybody's done to get it back.
Yeah, we're thrilled that we made that list again this year. In addition to that, we have our Arlington Heights the village joint breakfast coming up. Typically, we do that beginning of the year. We did ask the village board to give us a date that might work for them, or a couple dates. So they came back with February 4th as just kind of a starting point. So Janet will send that out in an email. But if you could let us know if that works for you. If not, we'll go back with another suggestion.
Is it there here this year?
I'm sorry.
No, February 4th is Saturday.
Long year.
I think it's there.
It just depends
Yeah.
who has something to highlight.
Yeah, because we did it last year to make it, but
I want to highlight their Bears relationship.
Right.
Okay, good. Anything else?
No, that's all.
Does anybody else have any other throw on here? Okay. All right, can we have a motion to go into closed session, please?
I'll move that we go into closed session.
I second.
You read the whole thing, please?
Yeah, in accordance with 5 ILCS 120/2C1 to review executive director's performance goals.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. So we will go into closed session and we can come back out to our actions that we need to do. Does everybody want to take does anybody need to take like a couple minute break, 5-minute break or so? Yeah, take 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. Teaching that. Closed session. Okay, good. Sure. We got one, you okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
We are back in open session for the Board of Library Trustees, for the Advertising Board Library on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022. Let's go around the table real quick.
John Suplet.
Amy Samari.
Carol Meadow.
Sarah Gallup.
Jennifer Burrow.
Greg Zick and Mike Driscoll is here. Okay, first action, we need a motion to give Mike Driscoll, Executive Director, a merit increase for this year of 6%.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, any comments, discussions on that? Okay.
Congratulations on the 5-star.
Should do a roll call,
Yeah.
but she's not here. We'll keep it on record. There she is.
Time for a roll call.
It's time for a
Oh,
roll.
I didn't bring my sheet. Well, I'll go on.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we did, is we just made a motion, we're giving a merit increase to Mike of 6%. And we had a first from Carol, and I think a second from John.
Trustee Suplet.
Aye.
Trustee Samari.
Hi.
Trustee Meadow.
Yes.
Trustee Gala.
Yeah.
Trustee Burrell.
Yes.
President Vick.
Yes. All right, thank you, Mike. Thank you for everything that you've done. We had to take a motion to approve the minutes from closed session.
I move that we approve the minutes from both sessions.
I second.
Okay,
Second.
any comments on it? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That one passes. All right, now we just need a motion to adjourn.
John, can you pass it?
I motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
A couple seconds. Get one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay, and we are done.
All right, good meeting, y'all.